So we're going to discuss rethinking the architecture of the internet from Tonic Core. Small crowd that knows Hunter, Newbie, High.
Brian Swenson, Microsoft.
You know Brian? And yes, sir. There, okay. I am going to talk about, applications, specifically video on the public internet and the need for layer 2. I focus a lot on the distinction between the internet and IP, only because people will only use them interchangeably synonymously. And I've been saying this for years, that VoIP is not voice over the internet, it's voice over the protocol. Well, that was like, I could say that and people would just be like, huh? And like no one really needed to care about it or know about it because VoIP wasn't really wreaking havoc on the internet like video is. So video over the internet is different than video over IP. And so I call this downloads to downfall. I think a lot of people have talked about the internet, having congestion issues in the past, whether they believe it was true or not, but it was totally true. And just a brief analogy so you can put it all in perspective. Okay, who remembers the World Wide Web? Who remembers America on hold? Okay, what was that? Congestion. Where was the congestion point? The dial-up ports. The inbound, the access part of the internet didn't work. There weren't enough dial-in ports. The backbone was fine. Backbone had ample capacity. Today, or up about 3 years ago, we had an inverted problem. Everybody had cable modem and DSL and super high speeds, and then the backbone started to fill up. And now we have an even compounded problem in that, well, why did raise your hand if you still have dial-up, right? Why did we move from dial-up? Because it's slow and it sucked. Even after we got the antes, it didn't work. So we went to cable modem because I was tired of getting kicked off of eBay. When I got to like the last minute when I went to, load it up there and it said goodbye. I had to go do it again. So everybody moved to high speed. But then, so high speed, not using all your pipe, and then backbone, and then all of a sudden, because the access was there, because the backbone was there, people started creating video-based applications. And I'll sort of get into that stuff. And now they're actually using their ports, and it's become very problematic for service providers, both on the access side and the backbone side of the public cloud. So the public cloud, it's a little fuzzy, that's all purpose. It's referred to as the cloud. The cloud is actually terminology that's borrowed from the old frame relay days, cloud, PVCs, CIR, stuff like that. It's not really a cloud. I think we all know that it's actually physically circuits and buildings that are connected that create this network. And then on the right side here, I actually took a snapshot of the Hibernia Atlantic network. It's a transatlantic diverse cable. But anyway, the point is that carries IP traffic, but it's not a cloud. It's specifically defined as circuits that go between cities and pairs to buildings and floors and suites in those buildings. And that's a real network. And it's important to know the distinction between the two because that's what's causing some of this. So internet or web, because there's a distinction, as we all know, the web is a neighborhood on public internet. Video types. Live, also referred to as streaming. Peer-to-peer downloads, which is like canned stuff and uploads. I refer to the bottom two as instance-based, so click, you try to move a file. Big files, it's okay if one person does it, it's okay if 10,000 people do it, it's not okay if 10 million people do it, or 50 million people do it all at the same time. It's like everybody trying to flush the toilet at once. All the water just runs out of the system. Peer-to-peer, I think we know what that is. No one really controls it, it's wreaking havoc. And then live streaming, which is essentially many different flavors, codecs and compression and whatnot, but still bandwidth utilization, all at the same time, whether they're instance-based or actual sessions that need to be, running live. Everybody's coming out with a video business on the web, everybody, and more content. And this is being videotaped. And everybody, businesses are creating commercials, and there's sites for commercials. It's going crazy, and nobody's thinking about the internet. And it's not a rubber band that you can just stretch forever. There's economics behind it, and those economics aren't working out. So here's my comparison slide, peer-to-peer internet download slide. Actually, this is a clip that I got, I wrote an article about, it was an IP Business last month? Yeah, last month. This is actually what a download session looks like on a cable modem. It's a red line. So again, it's okay if one person does it, but if everybody does it, it's not okay for the cable network. It's also not okay for their connections to either their transit providers or their peering partners, because everything just goes to rent. So the picture on the right side there, which I found, it worked out well with Hibernia because I did this at their partner meeting a couple weeks ago. It's over the ocean, so it looks like it's transatlantic, but the lower one is the internet, which is public layer 3, lots of packets, and who knows in the car next to you, and it's very congested. And the one above it is the Hibernia Transport Network. You buy a dedicated circuit, and you know how much capacity is going over it because you're running that capacity over it. And the interesting thing today, as opposed to the way it used to be, really, with public clouds, people just throw it up and say, well, it'll end up over on the other side. You know, and Sidgmore came out and was like, no, fully mesh, fully redundant DS3s and the NAs and the NAPs, or else we won't peer with you. You know, he laid down the gauntlet. That was in the late 90s. He was a smart guy. So the thing is today that IP traffic, even if it is public transit, people know the points that they're going to go to and from. It's Ashburn, it's Lynx, it's DKIGS, it's AMS. So they get the high road and they build their own pipe to those points instead of buying transit from somebody who's ultimately going to go there anyway, because you don't want to have to contend with the traffic. Plus the people on the bottom road there, the economics of their business is totally out of whack with video uploads, downloads, peer-to-peer, that they can't control because their customers are actually using those circuits. So that has a detrimental impact on legitimate businesses that exist on the web, i.e. eBay, Amazon, Delta Airlines, people that the customers use the web to interface with the company. Their experience can and will be impacted negatively as a result of things that none of them are in control of, that could degrade the performance. So here's my, this is it. This is the thing that's happening today, right now, that sort of puts an exclamation point, underlines and bolds this.